So here we are with our final video, and this was of our popcorn container that we made, and our pieces of popcorn. I am going to actually do these guys for you because this is what the pattern calls for, but I got a little creative and I made some caramel popcorn. I did embroidered the eyes and a nose instead of a mouth. I did little X's for the eyes. One came out a little bit darker than the other, and you know, don't mind my stitches. I told you I'm not the greatest with that, but as long as the crocheting looks good to me. Anyway, I did one, kind of like a multicolored one, and gave him some blue eyes and a little pink nose. I was actually going to try to do like maybe a unicorn head or something on it, and I couldn't think of what to do at the moment, so I just threw together this one real quick. And then I did a buttery popcorn and I gave it a little pink smile instead. So and then you can see these are all actually the same yarn that I did the whole project with. Now this one is also the same yarn, but the weight's different on it. Everything's exactly the same except for the weight of it. I was looking at the package because they're called the same exact thing, and you can see how much thicker it is. The yarn that I used the same size needle, but I could tell just by touching it as soon as I had picked it up and started using it that it was going to be thicker. It's definitely a thicker yarn, and sometimes the thicker yarns are better for the amigurumis because they just become more stiffer, easier to mold the way that you want it to look. But also, like this was the first one I started with, which is the same. It's the same exact stitch, everything, same yarn. This is just tighter. I did this very tight compared to this one. And also this one's a little smaller too. You can tell I did a much lighter stitch with looser stitch with this one. So you get different things, the different ways of crochet. So with my instruction with these little popcorn guys, I am going to try and keep it a loose stitch for you. I'm going to try my best so that you can see the stitches very well. You're going to be learning something totally different. You're not going to be going in a straight line. You're going to be going in a round. So I'm going to get started. We are going to be using the cream yarn, and I get to show you now how I make a magic ring, or how you will make a magic ring. And there are many different techniques that people use, so it's basically up to your own discretion, as long as your project comes out the same as it's supposed to look in a picture, or you know, an actual another project. You know, you're fine with your technique. So here we go. What I do is, this is my end, and I grab it and I drape it over just like start to do a chain, but we're not going to do that this time. we are going to actually not go through our fingers. We're going to go all the way around our fingers. Come over top like this. And you want to cross when you bring over top, just like so. This is the easiest way I know how to explain this. I'm going to go in with my hook, and I'm going to pull this down and under, and that's going to be my loop that's on my hook. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ring from my fingers. This is our working yarn, so I'm pulling it up and out, so I know that's my working yarn. Then what I do is I grab my working yarn and I set my hand up the way I do to crochet. So then I'm just going to take this whole bunch of yarn that's down here, and I'm going to just clump it together and hold it. And you know, my middle finger and my thumb, they're my favorite fingers to grab a hold. Now I can tighten up around my needle by pulling with my working yarn. I now have my working yarn in my hand, and all what we're going to do is we're going to make a chain. So now we have this loop here, like this underneath, and this is our end. I kind of like untwist it out of the loop, and just because we're going to hide. We're going to actually hide it in our loop, like I've told you before about hiding our ends. So we're going to start with our single crochet, which is we're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic ring, and you're going to learn why this is called a magic ring. But we're going to go under, just like we would if we were going to make a single crochet. We have these two. I pinch both of them together again. We have these 2 loops that are on our, which makes our single crochet. We go through both of them. Then we are going to go under again, grab our yarn, pull it back. That gives us, and then I do the pinching technique again. That gives us our 2 loops on the hook, and we're going to pull through them. Now it's a little difficult here. I'm doing it a little tighter than what I want to, but I'm try and loosen this up a little bit. So I'm gonna go under. I'm going to grab my yarn, pull it back through the loop. That gives me my 2 loops to pull through for my single crochet. And see, the top of them are it's given us our stitches there. So we're just doing it like we're running through the stitches, but we're going through this loop is what we're doing, and we want to do this 6 times. We want 6 stitches on here. And it's getting tight, but I want you to see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many I have? 1, 2, 3, 5. So I have to do it one more time. Okay. That's my 6 on here. 6 stitches. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to pull my thread out for a second here. Pull my hook out so that I can show you what I'm going to do here. So the loop and our working yarn we're not going to worry about right now. But what I do is I flatten this with my fingers and I hold it kind of flat, and then I take our end here that is on in our loop that we hid. What we're going to do, this is what makes it a magic ring. We're just going to pull on this end, and it's going to tighten up, and I start to make my circle here, and I make sure that it's nice and round, and then I tighten it tight until you have a little circle. So then I'm going to, this is what they say when they say working around. Okay, I'm going to hide this end, go around a couple stitches. I'll probably just do 2 more, something like that. And so that was our row 1. That was 6 single crochets in the magic ring. So we have 6 stitches around, which I already counted and showed you. And now row 2, we're going to increase, which is INC, that's the abbreviation for that. And that's going to be in each stitch around. And that's going to leave us with 12 stitches. So this is usually where some people, they like to mark the beginning of their round, because, and that would be with one of these stitch markers, or you can do it with yarn. I've seen people just put yarn through here to mark it as their first part of the round. On the other hand, I count my stitches so I know where I end up at unless I get distracted, which isn't hard in this house. Okay, I want you to see this very good, very clearly, so I moved my camera in so that you can see these stitches and how I'm doing them. Now, figure out which one's my working yarn. This is my working yarn, and this is my stitch marker. It's marking my first stitch I'm doing here. So this first V here going in and around, we are going to go in there. Yeah, I did do it kind of tight. I tried. It's hard though, it's difficult when I'm working with the camera and trying to show you how I'm doing things. Anyway, we want to make sure that we're going over top of this. This end is getting included in this stitch. So then I'm going to pull my yarn through. Because we're just going to do a single crochet. So that's our first one. And we did a single crochet, and it says it wants us to increase each stitch around. So that's we're gonna go back into this same stitch under the same V that we just did our last one in. We're going to grab it again, and we're going to do another single crochet in that same spot. So you see we have a much bigger hole now because we have 2 stitches in there instead of just the one. And that's how we increase our stitches going around, because now we don't have 1 in each one of these, we have 2 in each one of these, which doubles it. We started out with 6, we want to end with 12. So keep going around doing the same thing. Well, let me get done this one here. Doing my first single crochet in my second, and my second, and oops, pull through 2. Okay, I'm just going to snip this off of here real quick. Was my end. Now the end is nice and hidden, so we are good to go with that. I can pull it out a little bit because I just tightened it up. Alright, and so we want to go into our next one, and we're going to do 2 single crochets in here, and continue on through all the way to your stitch marker, and you should wind up with 12 stitches around, and I will see you back here. Okay, so I made it around, and I counted my stitches around, and you don't count this one that's on here. You always want to start with the one that's actually stitched there. This was where my stitch marker was, though I don't normally use them unless I'm doing a huge project, but that would be 1. And then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that's my 12 stitches. And then if you want to continue marking, this is going to be your next stitch. that you do, the one that's on your hook. So you can just put your stitch marker around that, and that I found was the easiest way for me to know where my first stitch is going to be at once I get around. So now we're going to go on to row 3, and it says SC1, comma, INC, and then there's an asterisk, and then it says 6 times and 18 STS's. So it's single crochet 1, then you're going to increase, and you're going to do this 6 times, and it'll total 18 stitches. So you're going to go into your first one and do a regular single crochet, and then when you increase the next one, it's going to be 2 into that same hole, like we just did the all increase. So I'm going to go into the first one, just one time, then we're going to go into the second one, and we're going to go in there twice. So we're going to do, we're going to do 1 stitch in that hole, and then we're going to go back in, and we're going to do 2 single crochets into the same one. So you see it makes it a bigger stitch there, and we're going to do that 6 times all the way around. And I'll show you one more time. The next one we're just going to do 1 single crochet because we're not increasing this one, and then the next V, we're going to go in 1 and do a single crochet, then we're going to go back into the same one, and we're going to do another single crochet. Okay, and that's 2 times we've done it. So continue around to your first stitch, and then I'll meet you back here when I get to the end of that. Okay, so I'm back here at the end of where my stitch marker is, and I do have 18 stitches all the way around. I counted mine. I hope you're counting yours. Anyway, I am going to remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to go ahead and put it here once again. And I'm only doing this so that you guys can see how I'm using it, so that you understand how I'm using it and why. So and how it can make the job a little bit easier. But anyway, we are going on to rows 4 to 6. So we're going to go around just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So we're just going to have 18 stitches all the way around. So you just want to do 3 rows. This is number 4, and then the next one will be number 5, and the next one will be number 6. And then at the end of row 6, I will meet you back here for an interesting row 7. Alright, so I finished with row 6, and should have it starting to look like a ball, kind of like your popcorn. And then we're going to go on to row 7, and row 7 is a single crochet 1 time, and then it's an invisible decrease, and that's going to happen 6 times. So you're going to have 12 stitches once you're finished with it. Now we've done increases, we haven't done the decreases yet, so watch me carefully and I will get you there. Okay, so we're going to do the 1 single crochet, and then here, this is where the next one's going to be the decrease. So we're going to go in, we're going to pull through, and we're going to go into the next one, and we're going to pull through. So you're going to have 3 loops here on your hook. Then we're going to pull through all 3. And that's going to give you 2 stitches turned into 1. So then we're going to go back in again to the next one, and we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're going to decrease again. We're going to go into the next one, pull through a loop, into the next one, pull through a loop, and then we're going to pull through all 3. We're going to do this 6 times. So we did 2, this will be 3. We're going to do single crochet here, then we'll go in, pull through 1, into the next, pull through again. That's your 3 loops, and that's 3 times. We're going to go in and do 1 single, and then we're going to go and do our decrease, through all 3. We're going to go in again, do 1 single crochet, and we're going to decrease again, that's our 3 on the loop, and I lost count here, I think it's 1 more. I will be able to tell once I count it. It's the only way that you can really know if you did it right. I didn't use my stitch marker, so I'm not exactly sure where my end is. But if you count it and you come up with 12 stitches, which I will do right now. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we got our 12 stitches. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to start putting our little face on this guy before we close them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the eyes, and you want to put them between rows 5 and 6. So you got your holes here, how I told you to count. You got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is in between there. And I'm just going to put my little thing on there, snap them in. And then what you want to do is, let's see, I have this eye here. I got 1, 2 holes, and then you want that third hole there, right there. And that's the one that you want to go into. And put that on there. Okay, and then we're going to do another little mouth here. We're going to do the little V with the black thread, and once I'm done with sewing that on, we'll be back to show you how we're going to close this up. Okay, so I got his little mouth on there now, and I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to show you how to do a new stitch here. And for row 8 it says in FLO, which we do know that's front loop only, it says 3 HDC, which is half double crochets, and then a SLST, which is slip stitch, and we're going to do that 6 times. So we're going to do 3 half double crochets, a slip stitch, and we're going to do that 6 times around. So we're going to go into the front loop only. Remember to go into the front loop only. We're going to pull through 1 time. This is going to be our half double crochet. HDC, half double crochet. We're going to pull through 1 time, then we're going to catch the yarn again, and we're going to pull through 2 times. Then we're going to go back into the same loop, that front loop, and we're going to do it again. We're going to pull through 1 time, pull through 1 time, and pull through 2 loops. And we're going to go back in again. This will be our 3rd time. Pull through 1 loop, pull through two loops. And then the next one that we go into, make sure you go into that front loop only, and we are going to do a slip stitch. Wait a minute, I got mixed up here. Wasn't holding my yarn right. I'm going to go back into it. Slip stitches, pull through both loops. Oops. Oopsie. Okay. We're going to pull through that loop. We're going to pull through that loop. So we're going to go through both. And then it's going to give you this little kind of shell look. So let's do it again. We're going to go into the front loop only. Going to do our half double crochet, which is we pull through once, we pull through once again, then we pull through twice. Going to go back into the same hole again, and we're going to do it again. Pull through 1, pull through 2. Going to do it a 3rd time. Pull through 1, is that right? I messed that one up. I'll show you. This is how I fix my mistakes when I realize I made a mistake. but you can tell how many you have in each one because it won't make a full shell if you don't. Okay. Now we're going to go into the next front loop, and we're going to slip it through entirely, and that's going to start looking like the bottom of our popcorn there. We're going to have little shells all the way around. So we're going to do this 6 times, and here you can't really lose your count because you're going to have 6 of these all the way around. So as long as you have the right amount of stitches, you will come back around to where you need to be. Please remember to keep going into that front loop and do your half double crochet 3 times in each, and when I am finished up with mine, I will be back with you. Okay, so I finished up here with my little round shells all the way around, and you'll see he's starting to look like a little popcorn. And now what we have to do is we have to start decreasing around. So what we're going to do to do that, it tells you to start putting fiberfill in now, but I'm going to not do that right now because I want to show you. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. At least the first couple of stitches before I put some fill in it. But row 9 is going to be in the back loop that's left over from row 8, and that's this row that we just did the front loop in, and you can see all the inside stitches here. That's what these are, and that's the back loop. That's what we're going to go into. And then we're going to invisible decrease around 6 times, and you'll end with 6 stitches. So if you look, this was the last one that I did. Let me pull this out because I want to show you clearly. This here was the last one. So if you go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are the 12 stitches that we're going to be using. So this stitch here is going to be the one that I start with. And get my self situated here so that you can see what I'm doing here. Now what I do is I move the yarn out of my way, and I go into this, back loop here, like so. And we're decreasing, so we're going to pull it through, and then we're going to go into this next back loop here, and we're going to pull that through as well. So we have our 3 loops, and we're going to pull through all 3 to decrease, and then you're just going to keep doing it until you get all the way around. So you're going to go into the next inside loop here. Oops. Went off all the way through my project. Oh no. Alright, and we're going to pull through, and we're going to go into our next inside loop, and we're going to pull through, and then we're going to pull through all 3. Okay, and then what's starting to happen is we're closing up our bottom here. So before I go any further, I'm going to put my fiberfill in here so that I have some I can get it to puff out. And it's really up to you how much you want to put in, how hard you want it, or how soft you want it, how mushy you want it. But, I just fill it up till, it kind of comes alive. And then we're going to continue around in these stitches till we have, I'll show you where you're going to count your stitches at here. You'll see our stitches beginning here, 1 and 2. What we did the 2. You're going to continue around. You want to have 6 stitches when you're finished. So that's your first, oh wait, here they are. This is your first 2, 1, 2, and they're just going to keep coming more and more into the center. And when I finish mine up, I will come back and I'll show you how to finish this little guy off. Okay, so I've gotten all the way around here. You see we still have a little tiny hole there, but this is what you're going for. And I know it gets really tight towards the end and difficult to work with sometimes, but these things are actually wonderful to practice on if you want to be able to work in rounds and do projects like this. It's actually a great practice piece. I've never personally did anything like this. This is the first time I've done these little guys like this. So I usually do a lot bigger projects than these little ones. But I found them fun. So what I do here is, you see this stitch here, this 1V that's right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and under it, because this is where I'm going to slip stitch it here to tie it off. So I'm just going to kind of like bring the circle together is what I'm doing. And I'm going to pull through, slip stitches, pull through all the way. Sorry, I'm moving around a little bit here. But then we pull it, to make our knot tight there. And then we're going to pull some thread through here, and you want to snip it off. And we're going to pull it all the way through. And I'm going to put the needle on my yarn. And I'll show you, everybody's method is different of how they tie off and do all this stuff, but my way works for me, so I'll show you what I do. I just go into each of these loops here and I just keep going around. So I went into the one, I'm going to go into the next one, all the center there. I'll go into this next one, and it's just like you pull tight and it is like closing it up. Go into this next one. And I think I have one more here. Okay, and then once I get into that last one, I just I go through my loop there to kind of like tie it off. Pull tight, and you see it's nice and stitched up there now. You can't get that yarn, that fiberfill out any longer. And then I'll just go into the whole project here, and I'll come out. I don't like to come out on the top, so I'd rather come out on the side somewhere. And I usually go in the back of the head and I pull it through. And don't pull it too tight, you'll smush the project. And then I go in and I just want to hide my yarn in one of these rounds, so I'm just going to pull it through some of these stitches here to hide it. Pull my needle off, pull it a little snug tight, and I make my little snip there, cut it off, and then what I do is I just loosen it up, make it nice and mushy or whatever, so that you don't see that tight pull in there anymore. But this is our little popcorn guy, and we've completed this.